I've been working on my game for 1 month now, and I think this was my most productive week so far. I added a lot of new things, and I'm gonna show them all off in this video. The first thing I decided to do was to make a new fly model in Blender. I didn't bother spending a lot of time on this model because I'm gonna come back to it later. It looks super ugly right now, but it's a lot better than that cube I had in the last devlog. Once I was happy enough with it, I moved it into Unity and started setting it up. I had to adjust the UV coordinates so that it would work well with the shader. I also changed the material so it wasn't bright orange anymore. I tilted the model to make it look more natural. And now it looked pretty good in game. I was pretty happy with this for now, so I moved on to the raindrops. These will land in your web when it rains, and it'll be your job to knock them off. If you don't knock them off, they will start weighing your web down. I made a very simple but effective shader, and I put it on a sphere. I wasn't trying to go for realism with this, so I just wanted to make it look nice. Next, I made the raindrops randomly spawn somewhere on the web when it rains. In a future devlog, I'll probably change it so that they actually fall into the web rather than just spawning there. But it works for now. I liked how this turned out, but there was still no way to tell when rain was coming, so I moved on to making a cloud. I first started by making a simple cloud model in Blender. This is temporary, and I'll make them procedural in the future. Once I was happy with the shape, I moved it into Unity and set up a material for it, and played around with the placement. I was thinking that I would leave them in front of the mountain, just like the concept art, but it didn't really look how I wanted it to. So later, I decided to stick it behind the mountain, just out of sight of the camera. I then made a script that takes an input of the position it needs to reach in order for it to start to rain. I made a function that takes in the time till the next rainfall, and based on that, it will calculate the speed that it needs to go to reach you. Once it reaches you, it'll start to rain and spawn some rain droplets. I think this worked very well, so I decided to move on to the next thing. I was getting pretty sick of the boring UI, so I decided to design some more UI to put in place of it. So far, none of the UI elements seem to work together very well, so I decided to make them all pretty similar to each other. I first made this panel that will be the background of the hunger and the venom meter. I then had to make an icon for the venom and the hunger in GIMP. They looked pretty good, but people told me that they weren't very easy to read, so I'll change them later on. It took me a while to figure out what icons to use, so for the venom, I decided to make it look like a drop of venom is coming out of the fangs of a spider, and I made the hunger meter look like a stomach. Once they were in game, I have to say they look much better than the old UI. I then made an icon and a panel for the web weight stat, and I think it turned out really well. This stat shows how much weight your web can hold, and if the bar fills up, you lose. Bugs, food, and raindrops all have their own weights, so you have to be conscious about managing the weight. Because of this, I made you be able to hit the raindrops off the web now to free up some weight. After this, I color-coded all the buttons for the stats that they use. So for example, the kill button for the fly is green because it symbolizes the venom that it uses to kill it. I did this for raindrops and the food too. And now the UI started looking more cohesive. I ended up liking the weight icon so much that I changed the other two icons to be in its style, and now I was really loving the UI. I also made a model for the food that kinda looks like a bug that has been stuck in a spider web. I'm gonna be making different sizes of these for the different types of insects you can catch. And then I changed the interact button to look a little more like the other UI in the game. I made an escape bar for the fly to be able to gauge if you have time to catch it or not. And I made a nutrition bar for the food to indicate how many more bites you can take of it. Next, I made the spider have to go over to the raindrop in order for it to fall, so it matches up with the other interactions I have in the game. So this made it a bit more time consuming to clean your web, which will take a lot more planning. I intend the rain to be a very stressful part of the game, because you don't know if you'll make it through, either because of hunger or because of the weight of your web. I also noticed that it's sometimes hard to know when you're gonna lose, or when you can't use your poison. So I made a little exclamation mark to show up on your stats when they reach a critical state, so you know what to focus on more. I made a little pulsing animation to it to make it more urgent. And lastly, I made a game over screen that just shows what you died to and how long you survived. Overall, I think that the UI is really starting to come together. I love how the buttons turned out. They almost look as cool as the like and subscribe buttons. You should probably try them out if you haven't already. That was all I got done this week. I'm pretty happy with how it is right now, and I think the main gameplay loop is blocked out. Next week, I hope to make a simple main menu and maybe start on a different map. I also have an idea for a bird to be able to snatch you out of your web if you don't hide in time. Let me know if you have any ideas or feedback in the comments, and subscribe to not miss the next devlog. Thank you for watching.